Welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance, Lowe, and Seth Hicks, your secret weapon to protect your assets and never have to start over financially again. Vance and Seth help high net worth individuals, families, business owners, and investors structure an asset-protected, tax-free fortress for their families. Learn how to keep what you earn and use the velocity of money to create your own private banking system. Join us on this journey as we explore the secret strategies of the rich and political elite and help you take total control of your financial security. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to Private Banking Strategies Podcast with Vance, Lowe, and Seth Hicks. How are you, Vance?
I'm doing terrific. If I was any better, there'd have to be two of me. Seth, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real well. Well, we're going to talk today about continuation of a three-part series, why people implement private banking strategies. And we've done part one and part two. This is part three, and we're covering the fundamental 7 pillars of private banking strategies. We've talked about asset protection being a cornerstone, financial privacy being a cornerstone, tax-free growth inside your policies being a cornerstone, and the velocity of money, getting multiple touches on the same dollar, being able to use the same dollar more than once. We've talked about those 4 in the past 2 episodes, and now we're going to conclude with the last 3 pillars, starting with guaranteed compounding tax-free growth. The value of your wealth inside your private banking strategies can never go backwards, Vance. And that is a strong claim, especially for people who are in the equities markets, stocks, bonds, different things where they see their portfolio go up and go down, and there's risk associated with it. They invest their money in certain investments, and sometimes they win and sometimes they fail. Well, with private banking strategies, you never fail, you never lose, and you never go backwards. The value of your account only goes up and to the right. Is that incredulous and impossible, or is that a reality?
Well, Seth, that's such a good question. And people today have been brainwashed into what I call exotic investments. And they shy away from the plain Jane or the tried and true investments that actually get you someplace. And I've dealt with that now for almost 4 decades. And so I want to share with people kind of some things that I know. In the banking world, the banks only deal off of guarantees. Would you agree, Seth?
Yes.
They only will do guarantees. They always, 100% of the time, get the money back. Some people will throw out, oh, well, what about the loan foreclosures and stuff like that? They lose money. No, they don't. They never lose money because of collateral. They collateralize far more than the loan. In business, it's all of your inventory. It's all of your assets. It's all of your machinery. It's all of your equipment. It's everything against a line of credit, a business type loan. They are after control. Well, let's talk about this a little bit because we're into a world where there is no risk, no economy risk, no market risk, and no risk of theft on the outside world. There's only one risk, and you meet that person every day you get up and look in the mirror. If that person looking back at you is a shady character, you got a problem. If he's not willing to live up to his commitments or her commitments with you, you got a problem, because we don't get to get off scot-free. We can't, abuse a situation like the banks would like us to believe. Okay. So let's talk about never going backward. Let's talk about guarantees. A lot of people purchase investments, exotic investments, investments that have a lot of different risks involved because they're attracted to the gains. Since they don't get control of that account, it's locked up tighter than ever. They want the highest interest they possibly can get. But in order to get a higher interest, you have to take more risk. It's just inherent. The people who have your money are making the money on you and allowing you to take the risk for them. Remember that. You are the one taking the risk. If they don't make enough, they could turn around and say, hey, well, we didn't make quite enough profit to be able to pay you anything. Oh, and sorry, we lost your money. We saved ours, but we lost your money, okay? It's just 40 years of that stuff has been going on. And it's going to go on forever because the stock market is there for the brokers and the powers to be to consistently make money off of other people. So let's talk about average rate of return versus yield. See, and this comes from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's extremely respected in the investment community because he hits grand slams almost every single time. And it's because he does his homework. He'll go into a company that he wants to invest in, and he'll tell that company where that company is going to be in 10 years. And the owners and the CFOs and the CEOs just drop their jaws almost in every case. How did you know? Where did you get the information? And how do you know where we're going? And he tells them. So he pretty much is betting on a sure thing. Now, there are times, and he'll admit that, hey, there's times we didn't win. Okay. But let's talk about these two topics. Average rate of return is a mathematical equation that draws out a result. It has nothing to do, it correlates in no significant way with what's in an account. So if you look at a mutual fund, and you're going to look at the 1 year, the 5 year, the 10 year, the 15 year average rate of return on that individual fund. And if it's where you think it's going to be, you may decide you're going to invest in it. Okay. But you deserve what you get because you're basing your information on wrong information. It's a mathematical equation. As a money manager, let me give you a great example. You give me $100,000 to invest for you. At the end of the first year, I've doubled that amount. Year 2 comes along, I lose 50%. Year 3 comes along, I gain 25%. Year 4 comes along, I lose 12.5%. How much is in your account at the end of 4 years? It's really, really close to $100,000, folks. We didn't do any good. However, legally, for the SEC regulations and government control, I get to publish an average rate of return of 25% on this account for the last 4 years. And it's because it's the wrong information that you're looking for. If you ask for average rate of return, this is what you're going to get. It's designed to come up with a high number to entice people to buy that fund. But it doesn't correlate with what's in the account. If you ask the correct question, you'll get correct information. Maybe, but even the stockbrokers and those guys probably won't have the information you need, which is yield. Back in the day when we were told to set up banking accounts, it was all about yield. You put money in a savings account, they add interest, as high as 6-7% interest. I remember that. And once that money went into your account, it could never, ever be reversed. It's now your money. Okay? Yield means money in the account that cannot be reversed. So if you were to ask me, Seth, what's the yield for this last 4 years? I would have to say 0. Now, how likely are you to buy that fund?
0.
From 25% average to yield of 0, you need the correct information because, that's a fund to stay away from because it's not correlating anything in the account. So look, everything we're doing in these contracts with the life insurance carriers are guaranteed. There is one that is not, and I'll cover that in a minute, but you have a guaranteed rate of return. That's etched in granite. They cannot change that. No matter what, your account is going to get that money. Whether you've borrowed against it or not, you're going to get that guarantee on that money. So because you're getting that guarantee, borrowing money either against that might be to your advantage, because if you're financing something else, you're going to add additional return to that. Those are possibilities here. So in addition to that guarantee, you get the profits of the life insurance company, because these contracts, all of these contracts we put our clients together in, make them owners of the life insurance company. They get entitlements, they get advantages. They get to go at the head of the line. Okay, when they want to borrow money, they get an advantaged rate of return. They can't steal from their company. A lot of people think if I own the company, I get my stuff free. You don't. Your company goes broke if you do. That's why 9 out of 10 startup companies fail, folks, is because the owners steal from their own companies, thinking they're going to get advantage, but making all their other clients subsidize, that loss. They have to make up for that, and it never is as profitable. So in this case, you get to go at the head of the line. You get to process money very, very quickly with as little as 2 questions. How much do you want? Where do you want it set? And you're borrowing money from the cash reserve. So you're going to pay the company the interest they lost, so that the profits are still there, because the profits are based off of that interest rates. Interest rates, historically have been anywhere from 2% up to 21%. In my lifetime, I had years seeing 21% added to the account. Now, these are called dividends. They are not guaranteed, but they have the yield guarantee. Once it's put in your account, it cannot be reversed. Okay. So if we're making 3.5% guarantee, and maybe this year we'll make 4% in a dividend, that's a 7% net. If we borrow money at 5%, we're still netting, a 3% growth plus all the interest we make and the profit we make on self-financing whatever we borrowed the money for. So these guarantees are absolutely critical to be able to depend on them. The amount of interest that we pay also needs to be guaranteed. There are options in these contracts now where you can have a variable loan rate and get it a little bit lower. I've never used that because as a bank, I need to know the bottom line. I need to know the guarantee. Okay. It can never go backwards. So I've done all the talking here, Seth.
Yeah, so that's a stark contrast to, investing in stocks in the stock market, where the risk is on you, and you've got financial money managers that take 1% a year of whatever they're managing for you, and you bear the risk. And this is very, very different. I mean, for people who want to set it and forget it, this is a clear way and a rock solid way to never have your money depleted and take all the risk off of your shoulders. So it's a key fundamental cornerstone. It's one of the 7 pillars of private banking strategies, and one that bears some real focus. But we'll transition into number 6. The 6th pillar of private banking strategies is guaranteed financing. So when you have accumulated a wealth inside your policy, it is completely liquid, completely available to you without any type of qualification or loan application or tax return submissions. So you wanted to go and buy a house and utilize your private bank to accomplish that. You simply give the life insurance company instructions. I want this amount of money and I want it wired here into this escrow, and it's done. So when we say guaranteed financing, we're talking about the liquidity of the amounts that you've stored inside your policy. We're talking about the absence of red tape, the absence of financial prying, the absence of having to disclose tax returns and bank statements and any other type of invasive and intrusive financial privacy invasions. Those don't exist with these life insurance companies. And that's a key feature. It's a key benefit of this.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel like you are generating a lot of revenue but are not moving forward as fast as you would like? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
Let's give an example. I'll use myself because I've self-financed my home here. I've self-financed my ranch, and I just live this private banking strategy. So my monthly payment is $2,000 per month. I created the loan, the mortgage loan, to meet what my flow needs to be. And so I make that payment. I make all that interest up front. My loans happen to be at 12% interest. Everybody goes, oh gosh, that's too high. Well, if you own something and you're after profits, do you want your profits high or low? Okay. And so I need to beat inflation. Okay. I'm not out competing with somebody. I can still make my payment pretty close, whatever it is, because I get to control the loan. Folks, do you have any idea what type of freedom that gives you?
Right.
The guaranteed finance freedom. If I go to a bank and I want them to give me a home equity line of credit, they want me to do all kinds of qualifications. And the last 2 times I went in to do that, I threw my hands up and said, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, you've got all the records you need on whether I'm trustworthy or not. I've got a 800 plus credit score here. You know, either you're going to give me the loan or you're not. You know, I'm not going to play around with all this divulging of information. And then they go, well, we got to have it. It's just, you know what? I have a bank that will do that without asking for all that stuff. And they just look at you. And I'm disgusted. I go out and I finance it myself. I'm trying to fight back. I'm trying to get back, you know, and throwing at people, you know, who are in the banks. They're taught what to say. They think they're providing a great service for humanity when in fact, you know, it's very despicable, but they don't know that, the employees. But that's why we do that. If you have a car loan now and your financial picture changes and it gets way too tight, how hard is it going to be for you to go into Honda Finance and try to refinance that loan? Seth, how hard is it going to be for them?
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be nigh impossible. They're going to laugh at you. Get out of here. Okay? You either make the payment or we're going to take the car back. Okay?
Right.
But if your bank is self-financing it, there's no difference other than, oh, you need to refinance this loan? Yeah, we'll work with you. We'll do it, whatever you need to do. And so this is where the guarantee comes in, and the freedom and the privacy. Nobody knows this. You're not creating any taxable events at all inside your economy. That's why this is so critical. That's why this growth, it's always going in the right direction. And we have a chance to do the guaranteed financing any way we choose. At the beginning, you know, I've probably made every mistake that mankind has made in the strategy, learning it, figuring it out over the last 20 years. And I've had to totally refinance my whole banking structure 3 times to get it right. And now for the last 15 plus years, it's singing, folks, and multiplying like you can't believe. I'm still angry that I didn't know about it 30 years earlier. So
Right.
that's
a common thing that people say, you know, is I wish I would have known about this earlier. I wish I would have implemented these private banking strategies earlier in my life. And that's because of the parabolic growth that happens through compounding. And in the compounding curve at years 29, 30, your money is literally going hockey stick straight up. And that, you know, so some of our clients that are younger, clients in their 20s and their 30s, they are going to be kissing our pictures when they're 50 and 60, you know, because of the type of impact that it's made for them. And that brings us to the next pillar, the 7th pillar, legacy value and tax-free transfer of wealth to your heirs. So when you start this early, or even when you don't start early, and you've got lump sum payments on death benefits in these contracts, where do they go, and do you pay taxes on those?
That's the question. And the nice thing is, remember, this is all about privacy, private bank, private setup, private passing. It doesn't go through government control. It's not probatable. Okay. It has its own passing law to get it to where it's supposed to be. So we can set something up and we can enjoy it through our lifetime and we can multiply it. We try to get our children and our kids also involved. And this is a process of many contracts because everybody starts low. We all started low. 6 months later, we wish we'd have gone a lot higher. That's the common complaint, but it's a necessary curve for people to test it out, and then they find more money and starting to put into this, and they just grow this thing. Well, they not only put policies on themselves, they put policies on kids, or they skip their kids and go straight to their grandkids. If you put one of these contracts on a child and do a $5,000 annual premium, at his age 65, he'll have somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 tax-free income every year for the rest of that child's life. $5,000. Okay, it's not even going to add up to that. Okay, so these things work. It's all about building it up. Now it's going to get so big, depending on what government does to us. They're thinking about changing our, inheritance tax laws, all those types of things, trying to increase taxes. Well, this is out of their control. This is someplace that they don't get to control. They don't know how much is there or what the volume is. And if you set up, and Seth here is one that has helped so many of our clients set up this legacy planning. I'll tell you a little bit about Nelson Nash's because he shared that with all of us. He had a policy on every single child and every grandchild. He had 67 policies, if you can believe it. And he told his wife, he said, when I'm gone, there's more money than you're ever going to need. That's all taken care of for you. We're going to take a lot of the death proceeds that were on my life, and we're going to start passing that down. The theory is when a person dies and has 1, 2, or 3 of these contracts, that death benefit comes in a lump sum. Well, hopefully by then we've got a trust set up. The trust owns all of the contracts, and the money's put into the trust. And then the first thing the trust is going to do is going to do 2 things as a priority. It's going to pay off all the loans that are outstanding. It doesn't relieve any of the money coming in, though, but it's just going to put it there instead of at a real bank. And then it's going to buy a new round of policies on the absolute youngest generation. That money's there to be able to do that. You can't really sock a lot of money on a newborn child. Even a 10-year-old, you can't. Maybe you could do $15,000 a year. Okay. So, but it gets them started. And now you've got a full generation out there with a lot of policies out there. The family's never, ever going to hurt for financing. In one generation, there should be enough money to be able to finance all their homes, their education, their cars, their toys, everything they would need. This is the Rockefeller strategy right here that we teach. It's all about keeping the money in the family. Right now, we show people how to get back up to 70% of their actual money outflow can be inflow. We can show them how to get back 100% of their monthly expenses, but literally get back on top of that 70% of the flow. The reason we can't get the 30 is because that's the food, clothing, utilities, stuff like that, car dealership. So starting the second generation, keep the money in the family talks about, okay, now we have to spend our money on stuff that we own. If you're going to go to the restaurant, we need to own the restaurant. If you're going to buy a car, we better own the dealership. If we're going to shop at the mall, we own the mall. Okay. We need to own the utility. Now, I don't know how much of that we can actually do because I'm not at that point yet, but that's all about keeping the money in the family. Now they're making money hand over fist, even with one restaurant. If you go there and you pay full price, That money's coming back to you. You don't need to pay a discount. You don't need to eat free. Okay. But in addition to that, everybody else is going to eat there. And all those profits are going to be coming back into the family. This is what legacy value is all about. It's untold wealth. Seth, say that a different way. I'm sure I've left a bunch of stuff out.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I just wanted to mention the current federal estate tax exemption is almost $14 million. So if you've got let's say a patriarch or a matriarch with death benefits in these policies that is paid to children, you got $14 million of death benefit that transfers tax free. And if you're going over those amounts, there's other ways to structure the policies in something called an ILIT, an irrevocable life insurance trust, which then accomplishes even more of a type of waterfall that has absolutely no tax event whatsoever. You touched on that with like Nelson Nash's structure. He had policies on himself, and when he passed away, those death benefits went into the beneficiaries' silos, which included his wife, his children, his grandchildren. And when his wife passes, she's going to have a death benefit that passes into children's hands, which fund their policies. And when those children's pass, they're going to fall into grandchildren and so on. And so that's exactly what you described with the Rockefellers and other extremely wealthy families, how they create a wealth waterfall without doing anything. I mean, Nelson Nash's children and grandchildren didn't work for any of that. It's just almost like a windfall that comes through from his disciplined strategy in using private banking strategies. And
the one thing he has set up, and everybody would need to know this, and he laughs at this. I've done it with my kids. Most of them do it. Most of the kids think they know more than dad does about anything. It's just an inherent thing, okay, because you're too close. And so to get their attention, he says, hey, family, I have disinherited you. All my money is in the family bank. However, when I die, I will give you access to money by borrowing it and you paying it back with interest. That's what we're talking about here. We don't pull the money out and ever spend it. You spend money, you think it's worthless, you only want to get rid of it. Using money over and over again is the game. Money only has value when it moves. Only. So in legacy planning, we've got to teach this because they're not going to find it in schools. They're not going to find it in higher education or any place else. Our government and banking has seen to that. There's no place that you can go to actually find out how to fill out a check because they don't want you writing checks anymore. They want us to get used to plastic because they want to do digital currency. Don't let them do that, folks. Digital currency is totally communistic. The government would have total control and could move money in and out of your digital accounts at will.
Well, that's a 30,000 foot overview, Vance, in these last 3-part series of the 7 pillars. We've done a lot of different content that drills down in different pillars, but I think that gives our audience a good summary. And if you want to learn more and this content resonates with you, you can find more at privatebankingstrategies.com. That's www.privatebankingstrategies.com. And there we have a book that we've written, and it's called What the Banks Don't Want You to Know. And that book is a red pill book that Vance and I wrote to help people discover issues that they may not have been aware of, like the compounding growth inside these policies, things that the Federal Reserve implement against you, how centralized banks work. And if that content resonates with you, we want you to schedule an exploratory call with Vance and ultimately learn how this strategy will work for you, particularly with an 8-year analysis. And that 8-year plan shows you step by step how private banking strategies would work for you and increase your wealth. That is basically our process, and we really enjoy helping people change their trajectory and their financial wealth accumulation and management.
I think everybody out there owes themselves the privilege of finding out about this, checking it out for themselves. We will warn you that we very, very seldom have people reject this idea. It resonates. It's all about truth. It's just there. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's all math. It's all guarantee stuff, no risk type venue. So we really admonish you and encourage you to come find out about it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Vance, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, and everybody stay safe out there. Bye-bye.
Did that story feel like it was about you? Do you feel you should be making more progress toward your financial goals? Do you feel stuck? Let us help you get unstuck. Are you ready to take action and get your own private bank? Please visit us at www.privatebankingstrategies.com.
Thank you for listening to the Private Banking Strategies Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available.